Hi, it's Phil Kerner, the Tool and Die Guy, and I know 3 weeks in a row. You know, there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, it's getting cold outside. Number two, I'll skip to number three. Number three is I know you guys miss me. I totally know you guys miss me so much. It's funny I said that because I know there's a lot of guys that see my face on here and they just get so angry. And I totally get that. Some people have a real problem with very handsome men, and that's not my problem. So number two, though, was the fact that my website was messed up. You know, it was one of those problems in your life that you really don't want to deal with. And, you know, it's not affecting your job. It's not affecting your health. It's not affecting your marriage. It's not affecting your house. It's not going to fall down. But you know you're going to have to deal with it eventually. You know, like that garage that needs cleaned out. But it's, you know, you can still get your car in. But the website, that was something I just didn't want to deal with. And finally I ripped the Band-Aid off. And luckily I had some good help with that, and we got it done, and everything's fixed up and back. And I realized what a great resource that is. And seriously. So so many vintage things I've saved over there, and things I've copied for years and held on to for half a century. But tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a little lesson I'm going to teach you tonight. This is one that it's usually a favorite on the toolandieguy.com. It's when I shoot a video right at the shop. Now, there's some background noise. I call it the sound of getting things done or manufacturing, all right? So tonight I'm going to give you a quick lesson on a part that comes my way about 3 times a year. And every time I run a part, you know, these little production runs I do, I always try to make it a little bit better. And I finally got this one tweaked in to the point where it's worth sharing. So let's go ahead and take a look again at this lesson. And one quick disclaimer. I absolutely understand that thousands of people that are going to see this, there's a lot of really good tool makers and machinists out there. This is how I did it, okay? I'm not saying it's the only way to do it. I am saying it worked for me, because I will never post something that I haven't proven and works, all right? So if you have a better idea, instead of making fun of mine, post it. Send this to your page. Well, I'd love to see it. But this is what worked for me, all right? So let's go into the shop floor and see this lesson. Okay, excuse the noise. We're not working in the library today. We're actually on the shop floor. Let's take a look at this piece here. As you can see, we've taken quite a bit of material out of this piece. And there's my hand, just so you have an idea of the scale here. Now what we're using here are these biter jaws. They bite into the material. There's 4 of them. Okay? And you can see there's not a lot left here. Right? I've taken a lot of stock out of this thing. Material's a little bit tough. It's proprietary material for the customer. Not quite as hard as 4140, but it's tough. So we've put a lot of stress in this. And what I would need to do next is finish the periphery, and there's a flatness call out. So I know this thing with that stock removal has probably got some stress in it. So all I'm going to do is loosen my vise jaw to let the stress out of it. Now I don't care if it blows either way, because I've got a little stock on the top, and I'm simply going to tighten the vise again in the same spot. Notice I didn't move the part. But what it let it do, hopefully, is let the part go back to its inert or regular state here, okay, natural state. So next we're going to finish the outside, okay, and then we'll skim the top. Eventually we're going to get to the point where we have to flip this thing over and cut this excess stock off of the back. But that's how I do it, when there's a flatness call out and there's that much stock removal. Just loosen the vise, let it spring to where it needs to go, tighten it back up, and then you can cut it. All right, so now we're out of the vise, up here on the bench. Is this thing flat? All right, well, obviously, we're not going to set it down on the back side of this, back side of this part. It's just, you know, your basic finish there from the mill, right? From the steel mill. So we're not going to bother with that. So what we need to do is figure out if this is flat. So what we need to do is isolate this surface or this plane, and the way we do that is on our surface plane. As you can see here, I've just got 3 rods here that have been ground to the same length. And of course, I got to make sure that they're sitting on the part, not in the big O-rings, all right? So that will support that in its, again, inert or natural state. Basically what we're going to do now is take a dial indicator, see what we have here. Slide it underneath a couple places. Let's zero that there. Check it at this end. 0.5 thousandths. And the surface plate's not big enough, so I'm going to carefully lift my surface gauge off and gently set it back down. And let's check this point here. And lightly rotate here. And I'm just going to pick it up for time's sake. Gently set it back down so we don't bother the indicator or make it jump. And check here. So this plate is basically flat within 1.5 thou. We have 4 thousandths. And I know that sounds like a lot to some of you guys, but when you're milling and you start getting a few 2 thousandths here, 2 thousandths there, 2 thousandths there, this thing starts rocking. It's not flat anymore. And you can tell when you set it on a surface plate flat and you hit it and it starts vibrating, it's not flat. And you can use up 4 thousandths in a hurry. So very happy with the way these are coming out with this little system I'm using here. So that's it from the shop floor, and hope you learned something on it. All right, so if you're wondering how I machine the back of this part, well, you know, it's a figure 8 shape, and I used to have a set of jaws that I made to hold the part. It just never quite worked out right, all right? So I decided to make a plate to hold this thing down and consistently machine the stock off the back flat. So here's a look at that plate. Basically what we've got here is a series of expanding mandrels that I set the first operation over. They slide right over that, and then we just tighten those down, and they expand and hold the part flat every time. I give them a whack with a rubber hammer just to make sure, but that's been a good system. So let's see what those look like up close. And that's it. That's an up close view. There's a way we machine those about 5 thousandths undersize of the whole diameter, so the part will slide right over it, and you can see that the part that the mandrel itself has slots in it. So when I tighten it, it expands, and they really hold the part down strong and flat. And for whatever reason, in case you were wondering how I tighten the part down, just an Allen wrench. All right, you don't have to put a pipe on it or anything. Remember, I'm using 6 of these things. So just a nice tight turn with a T-handle, and they hold perfectly. And finally, that is the finished piece after it's been milled flat and stock's been removed. And all I have to do is loosen these 6 mandrels, okay? And if you've noticed, they're counterbored into the plate a little deeper to make sure when my face mill goes across, I don't chop them off, okay? And finally, it's a little tough even when they're loose to get the part off. So I've got a couple slots milled in here. And I know it's not very pretty sounding to say this, but basically I just pop a screwdriver on each side, gently push the part off. All right. And there's no marks on it. It's not that tight, but I just can't get my fingers in there. All right. So that's it. Looks good. And the system works very beautifully. So that's it from here. A little housekeeping. Thanks for joining. If you've been taking advantage of the membership special, the website is running fine now. I think we've got everybody taken care of. The little sale I was running, we're going to shut that off Wednesday night. I should just shut it off tonight, but I know it takes a couple days for my videos to kind of populate through YouTube land. So Wednesday night after work some night, I'll come down here that night, and we'll be changing the price back to normal. But for now, if you still want to jump on, there's 400 videos over there just like this. All right, it's some good stuff. So it's my life's work, and I know you'll learn something from it. And what's a lesson worth? What's an hour's worth of time saved in this trade, right? So again, I am Phil Kerner, the Tool and Die Guy, broadcasting from my studio, surrounded by manufacturing history, right here in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I wish you a very prosperous and safe week at work. We'll see you on the next lesson.